Cloud? Excellent. Okay, so Amanda is going to share with us her follow-up system. So I had the pleasure of meeting Amanda at World Tour in St. Louis just this year in February. It was February, right?
Yeah, I think
And
so.
feels like forever ago.
It is forever ago.
I had the pleasure of meeting her in person, and she came and did and shared her follow-up system with my team, and I was so thankful. Everybody just had so many amazing takeaways, so I'm excited for you guys to hear from her tonight. So I will not hold us up. We will let Amanda get started. I'm going to monitor the chat. I will mute myself, and then at the end we can just kind of go over some questions if anybody has any. Sound good?
Works for me.
Here we go.
I do have kids that are trying to go to bed, so I thought I heard a door open. Sorry. So if I do break away, my bad. I am more organized, Sarah, than the last time I did this, so I'm super excited about that. My follow-up system is a lot. If you if you've talked to Hannah Hall about her follow-up system at all, mine kind of mirrors hers. Sorry, I can hear they're right by the door. My follow-up system starts as soon as I get an order. So as soon as the order comes over, one of the very first things that I do is they get a thank you, whether it's because I took the order personally and they're like instantly getting in a thank you, or I'm sitting down for my Scentsy work time and I'm sending out like, oh, I got 3 PWS orders today before nap. I'm going to go through each one, and then I'm going to print them off, send out a thank you, whether it be on Project Broadcast, on Facebook Messenger. Some customers I text. So however it is that I communicate with my customers, I'm going to reach out and say, hey, thanks. And just tell them to watch their mail, because at the end of every month, I send out thank you mail to all of them. Some of them, it depends on order size and also like my situation. So sometimes they just get like a postcard with some samples in it that says like, thank you for ordering from me. Sometimes they get scent circles. It really just depends on where I'm at personally. And honestly, I don't think I've ever had a customer complain about like, oh, well, I got a scent circle last month, but this month I only got a postcard and some samples or whatever. Really, they just love the thank yous. And they love it even more when you like, even if you just sign your name or write like a little something. I know some months we've got a ton of customers and we're sending out thank yous like crazy, and it's not really feasible to handwrite 75, 100, however many thank yous you're sending out in a month. But I do try to do that every month. So once I get the order and they get a thank you, I print their order, and I have this cute little, it goes in a thing, so it's a lot more pretty. I have this little binder system that's not in a binder. I prefer it actually out so that I can grab and go. It's like super easy. But I have all these tabs here. I don't know if you can see them. And it starts with the thank you. So once they get their thank you, their order gets printed and it gets put in here. It means I've done the thank you. And then they each get a little sticker. And I made these stickers on Avery. Used a template. And it's just how I go through my follow-up process. So I don't know, there you can see them. Starts with the thank you, delivered, 1 month follow-up, 3 month follow-up, 6 month follow-up. At the 6 month point, they get pulled from my binder completely, and then they go into a 2023 folder. So none of these orders are from 2022. I restarted in January. So everything that I have in here are all of my orders from 2023. So this morning, my daughter's teacher, my daughter's teacher messaged me, and she said that she had an order for me. So because it wasn't a PWS order, I can't actually print the order. I can't actually print the order off of Workstation. So I wrote it on an order form. It's got her name, it's got her order, it's got everything that I need. And then I haven't actually stickered it yet because I knew I was doing this today. So I'm going to sticker it, and then I'm going to check mark that I sent her some kind of thank you message acknowledging the order itself. And then it's just going to go in my thank you folder. And I have 2 of them here. So I got a couple orders that came through. I actually just got back from the cruise incentive. And I had a couple orders come through on Project Broadcast, on my Project Broadcast and my email. So I've got them right here, and they just went in my thank you. Every single Friday, so this is part of my calendar system, which I know some people have, some people in Sarah's team have seen. There are some people that when we went to retreat in January have seen. Part of my calendar system is my follow-up, and I only follow up in depth besides just a thank you on Fridays. So every Friday I grab this stack, I grab the thank you, the delivered, and then whatever month it is. So you'll see here, these thank yous, they got a thank you message. And then on Friday, I'll go through these and see, have they delivered? If they've delivered, then they go to delivered, the delivered folder. So these, and these are actually a couple of my clubbers that processed last week. I haven't actually delivered yet. So on Friday, when I do my follow-up, I will go grab this delivered folder, go through, check to see if they're delivered. If they have delivered already, then all I do is just shoot out a message and say, hey, just want to make sure that you got your order. Like, how is everything? Have you unboxed it? Just kind of checking in with them. And then after that, I move this to a month follow-up. So once this one has delivered, this club actually happens to be my mom's club. When it delivers, I will mark here at the month line that a month from now will be May. So in May, or once it delivers, I'll move this to my May folder, and I don't have anything for January, February, March because we're past that. So this is where it gets a little bit more organized, I'd like to say, because I've got May or April, May, June, July, all the way through the end of the year. So once I've gotten through my thank yous, made sure that everybody's gotten a thank you message from me in some sort of form, and then I've checked everything to see if it's delivered, I move them to the month follow-up. And at the month, it gets, the next one we're in right now is April. Everything that needs an April follow-up, whether it be a 1-month follow-up, a 3-month follow-up, or a 6-month follow-up, is going to be right in here. So I've got some 1-month follow-ups in here. I don't think I have any 3-month follow-ups. No. And every Friday, I'll just jump right here after I go through my delivered, make sure everything's delivered. I grab my April and I just start going through the stack, and I go through as many of them as I have time for. It could be 15, it could be 10, it's whatever I have on my plate that day. I go through, and by the time April is over, all of these will have gone through, and I will move on to May. And it just kind of keeps going. As you can see here, I've got the 1 month is April, 3 months is July, January is 6 months. The goal is to not let our customers get to that 6-month mark. I'd rather them order, and I'm seeing more of them order around the 3-month period. Sometimes they order, you get a couple little orders in a row. And then I do see it fall off a little bit. So here's my April, May, June, and I've got up to July, because that is 3 months out or 6 months out from some of my deliveries. And that's really, like, I feel like I just sped through that really fast. Sorry. That's the bulk of my follow-up, and it just keeps going month by month. So at the end of the month, this will be empty, and then I will move on to May. And this is all my follow-up for the month. And I just keep moving it through each month by month. I feel like I sped through that. What am I missing? Excuse me. Sorry.
you have like perfected showing people your follow-up system so well that it took you like 9 minutes.
There's not a lot to that. And I think that's why I love it so much, is because it's just kind of just really easy. And there's like not a lot there. It's not overcomplicated. It works for somebody who has 3 kids at home that is 5, 3 and going to be 2. Like, it's super easy. I can literally take this upstairs during, any time of the day. If, the kids by chance are playing nicely. I can literally just grab this, take it upstairs, and I don't even have to take this entire thing. I can just take
what you're
my
working
April.
on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just take my April right upstairs and go through, okay, I've got extra time and I know I had a lot of April follow-up to do. Like, I can knock a couple of these out or whatever.
So Nicole is asking, how do you keep track of Happy Mail?
Of Happy Mail. So I just run a report every month in Workstation. I know it's not always accurate, but that is where I run most of it. Some people, I just know that they're like, I go through my clubs every month. They get Happy Mail, and then I just run a report every month at the end of the month. I know that can be a lot. That can take a lot of time to go through Happy Mail and just sit down and do it. So I know a lot of people actually just do it, maybe weekly or daily. It doesn't work for everybody. It works for me. I don't know if I answered your question.
Another thing is like, so when you're, I guess maybe knowing what you're putting in your Happy Mail when you send it is also like a variation of that question. Like, what are you sending out in your Happy Mail?
So,
and you have like qualifications for that?
So it depends. Again, this is my abilities this year have kind of been across the board. So I always start with at least a sample of, we've had a lot of cool collections this year so far. So it's been some kind of sample. I have like a stack of them that I just am throwing in felt samples. If I've closed out a huge party and I've got a ton of extra stock, then I'll throw extras in. But I do have a spreadsheet, which is a total, and I know that, Sarah, you've seen the Hannah spreadsheet. And I do use that now. I didn't before, and I just started using that, and I don't want to sound like an expert on it. So I don't want to really touch on it too much. But I do log all of what I sent out the month previous that way. If that
we're gonna bounce. Okay, so Allison is asking, that is helpful. So some people have like qualifications for what they do for their
like
Happy Mail.
$25 orders,
$25, or at 100 or 60 you would get.
I have
X,
that
Y,
for my
Z.
Scentsy club. My clubbers get a certain amount that way. My life is a little too hectic for me to be like, okay, you spent this much.
So you just keep it pretty simple across the board. Whoever everybody's gonna get.
Everybody gets something. My goal every month is just to make sure that everybody is getting some kind of touch and some kind of thank you in some way, because it's not always feasible for me to be able to be like, I can do this for 25, this for 30, but that's not I know plenty of people who do that.
So one of the things that, just to kind of piggyback on the Happy Mail concept, is like one of the things I started doing consistently this year was sending out a postcard every month. So every month, my customer, and I reset from January. So I'm not on Scensy's fiscal year. I'm on like my calendar year. So in January, if you've ordered one time from January till now, you're going to receive a postcard from me that has the scent of the month, some sort of like a promo. And then, so scent of the month, rub and sniff sticker, some sort of an announcement of like a promotion, and then the warmer of the month. And so I send that out to everybody. I don't have to track it because I know that no matter what, if you ordered in this year, and it just is a running Excel spreadsheet that Amanda referenced earlier, that Hannah shared. It's just a running list of names, and I can export that out. If they have ordered from me, their name is in that list and they are automatically getting a postcard. So if you're looking for a simple way to make sure that you're touching your customers every single month, that was like one of my biggest goals, is to always be in front of them. So, it cost me 48 cents to send that out to everybody. But my goal is to obviously continue to grow that just by growing my business.
And I have a newsletter that I actually started doing in January for the last 100 customers who've ordered from me, that get, like a little, like, here's what's happening. But that's different than you ordered last month, or you had a Scentsy Club process last month stuff.
Sure.
That's like a separate thing.
Yeah. And so you do that weekly. You go through and send out your Happy Mail weekly, or
monthly.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's the same. I use the spreadsheet that we've been talking about to see those numbers. But if I didn't have the spreadsheet, I would still just run a report on Workstation to see who has ordered. And I would just grab the last 100 and do it that way.
And if you guys have never done that, it's super simple in your Workstation, super, super simple. So it's actually not anywhere that you would think it would be, like order history or whatever. The easiest way to find the last 100 people who ordered from you is to go into your contacts, actually. So if you go into your contacts and you just run a report on all of your contacts, on the right-hand side of one of the columns, it says last purchase. So if you sort that by the most recent date, it will show you the last 5, 10, 50, however many, 100 of orders that you have, but it will show you who those last purchasers were. So if you're like, I want to thank the last 10 people, or I want to start doing a postcard and I want to send it to the last 20 people, you can get that information very easily within the contacts tab.
Yep. Contacts. And then you just do that filter. And that's actually how I run a lot of my stuff too, is to go
Allison had a question. Allison said, what's some verbiage you would use when you're following up? Oh, sorry, I just got lost. When you're following up at 1 or 3 months.
So my 1 month is, hey, I depending on how often somebody orders, I might just know what they've ordered a month from now. So or a month ago. But if I had an order and I just do a quick check. Okay, I got to do this follow up. I've got their receipt right in front of me anyways. Hey, Shannon, wow, just going to tumble over my words today. Okay. Hey, Shannon, I hope that you are still loving your blah, 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 blah. What are you thinking of it? Or what do you think of it? Are you running low on it yet? What is it? Aloha. What's going on right now? Sorry. And that's all I use for 1 month. As I try to go back, at 3 months, I would say something like, we have the Mother's Day collections coming out, or the Father's Day collection coming out. Have you seen it? How is everything on your end? And what I've learned is that keeping it more simple is way easier than trying to get really wordy.
Yeah, I mean, one of the best things about what we do in this business is is the authenticity, right? The authenticity to who you are. Your follow-up with one customer may be completely different than the follow-up with another. If I'm reaching out to someone who buys from me, every other month, my conversation with them is going to look a lot different than someone who purchased 1 month and now we're a month in and it was kind of like, you don't really know them. You're just kind of still trying to build that relationship. Right. And then 3 months, if you guys have been in connection or you haven't gotten an order from them again, you really want to just gauge it off of the relationship that you have with them, and just making sure that it is arrows out, right? How can I help you? Are you loving this? You know, I was thinking of you. There's this new fragrance that came out, say it's a scent of the month. It's very similar to XYZ that you ordered. I thought you might, you know, it just made me think of you. So I just wanted to pop in and say hi. You don't want to make it too high pressure, right? Too high pressure for you, too high pressure for them. You just want it to be authentic and to be slowly building that relationship or continuing to build on a relationship that you have existing. So this kind of like goes into like the whole the next part. But so Nicole was then asking, with the system, do you schedule your follow-up messages with Project Broadcast, or do you just follow up with them in your binder time?
I follow up with them in my binder time. That's like a specific personalized time for me, and it's a way for me to be more one-on-one with customers, where I feel like Project Broadcast is just kind of like a blast to everybody, a little less personal. I guess I could, you know, personalize messages, but like Sarah said, I have a customer who got me to watch Wall-E with the kids. And I had never wanted to watch it. So when I follow up with her, I know that she had gotten the Wall-E warmer, and the scent when I think it was on clearance a few months ago. I think she grabbed it, and that is going to be a touch point for us and say, you know, we just did this, or we just watched it. I was thinking about you. The kids keep asking to watch the movie. Like, how is everything on your end?
Yeah. And so, and the interesting thing is that sometimes a system's not perfect, right? And so one of the things that like I picked up Project Broadcast. Hannah had been like, oh, I'm using this, it's amazing, like a year ago. And I tried it and I was like, no, I just didn't get it. I just didn't feel like it was for me. But I also knew that I was not giving it a fair chance. So I picked up Project Broadcast again in November. I was paying for it the entire time. So I'm pretty sure I have like 15,000 credits or something ridiculous now. But so now that I'm using it and I'm using it consistently, I've gotten the majority of my customers to be very comfortable because of the consistency aspect of getting those text messages from me. At first, it was kind of like, is this spam? And there are still some people who don't quite think that it's like me behind the message, but the consistency will iron all of that out. There are other customers who I know will not respond to me on Project Broadcast because in their brain, it's not me. They have my cell phone number. They've been with me for 10 years and they just don't want to hear from me there. And so although that works really well for new customers and following up with them and being able to do that in the masses, you know, by the 1 or 3 months, for me, it is a little bit of a mix of both, where you do have to kind of integrate your Facebook Messenger or your Instagram or whatever that platform, that communication platform is, just so that you, again, are authentic to your relationship with them. Where is your relationship at? Is it on your personal cell phone number? Is it through email? Is it, you know, through Instagram or whatever channel you guys normally communicate with? So it took a little bit of tweaking. It's not, Project Broadcast is not like the perfect system for everyone. But it certainly eases a lot of like the weight of doing that, sending out a blast, to your point, right? Of being able to connect with multiple people about a release or something like that.
That's where I love Project Broadcast for those blasts. But when I want to follow up, I just think it's like, I have a customer who is in and out of the States. She's from India. She lives in California. She prefers Messenger because it's just easier for her. And that's where we go. I have the same thing. I have a customer, like you said, who doesn't want anything to do with my Project Broadcast phone number. Her and I text on the side. She's got my personal number. And that's how I do my follow-up with her. So totally there.
Just making sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, so Shannon had suggested, like, make sure you reference what they bought, and you can export it to Avery and print labels. Yeah, that's
we learned that like a couple months ago that we could, instead of like typing out each individual label. You can actually
Totally.
you can take an Excel document and import it into Avery, and it just enters in all. You just click what fields you want, and you just put it in there, make sure it looks good to you, and then hit the print button, and then you've got all your labels for your customers. So don't
So that
type
is
each at a time, because I've been doing that for years.
yeah. It's a total game changer in using the Excel spreadsheet for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, John was just like bro, I'm on a call.
My cat is stuck down here, so if you hear him meowing, it's because he wants to get out, and I'm
oh my gosh,
letting him out. So
does anybody else have any questions about any of those things that we've covered? The project broadcast, I know Nicole asked for the Excel spreadsheet. So
which you said you have the, otherwise I have it too, with the customer one from Hannah.
Yeah, okay. Maybe we just like within the group or something, we can drop the
yeah.
I
feel like I like just breathe through it, but it's like with everything, Sensi, like don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. It doesn't need to be this fancy system. And you guys, I've actually taken my follow-up system to totally digital, and I've kept the paper version because it's how I started. It's how I learned to follow up, and I still do this very same system. It's just in a digital version. I use I've got tabs. They're all labeled the same. It looks exactly the same, only it's on my iPad. But I love that I started this way because I don't need anything else. Just paper and pen, and some order forms, and that's really it.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, the easiest way to stay on top of your follow-up system is to do something consistently with it every single week. So staying on top of printing your orders, whether you're printing them out to your iPad or printing them out. I know Hannah's gone digital with hers as well, and she helped me go digital, which was so nice. But being able to have it digital through GoodNotes on my iPad, where like if you are staying consistent and every single week you're going in and you're printing out those order forms and you're making sure that you're tracking them, it makes your life so much easier, and it makes the concept of follow-up so much just runs much more smoothly.
Yes.
So
I think like that has been a big part of my business, is finding consistency. Like there's a ton of systems, and I love my calendar system. I love my follow-up system. Those are my two favorite things to talk about. If you've sat down with me for more than 10 minutes, and I will gush over them. But keeping them simple and keeping them easy and super, especially as a mom, not only just of 3, but as a mom in general, like we've got a lot on our plate, and I want something I can easily just be like, okay, this is my May. I'm going to go run, do car line, and I can, maybe I got to go pick up my daughter from school. I can just take this with me. It's super simple, super easy. Doesn't take a lot. Just my phone and some paper.
Yeah. And Nicole had commented, like, as soon as she gets an iPad, like GoodNotes is going to be a game changer. Start with pen and paper. If you're like, that's why it was like, this is why when Amanda came and spoke with my team, we said like, go pen and paper, because that's going to be the easiest thing for you to teach someone to how to replicate, right? Is pen and paper, especially if they're new in the business and they're just kind of like starting out. They don't have access to an iPad or the funds to buy an iPad. Doing something on pen and paper and showing yourself and proving to yourself that you can be consistent in this system. It's really all about finding a system. And like, people get so scared of that one little word, right? I mean, I felt the same exact way. Finding one thing. It's funny, like when I first started using the Excel spreadsheet, I was using someone else's and I was tracking all of these ridiculous things. And Hannah,
you're like, I don't care about these things.
Why are you tracking that? And I was like, because they were tracking it. And she said, but what are you going to do with it? And I was like, well, nothing. She's like, then why are you tracking it? And I was like, okay, thanks, Hannah. But it's true. Find something that works for you and keep it as like
And
as
I
simple
know
as possible.
there are people that pull, I think Holly on your team, she's pulled things from me, from like pull from different consultants. Cause what I do, you don't have to do every step. Like do what works for you. And when I first started my follow-up system and I was like really consistent with it, I was following up when their product delivered. And then I was following up a week later and I was like, I am talking to you too much. Like I just talked to you 3 days ago and now I'm asking you again. So I had to change it for what I felt was comfortable for me and my customers. If you want to talk to your customers every 2 weeks, like go for it. For me, it just felt weird and awkward and I wanted to change that. But I didn't make I made sure I was comfortable with how things were working and I was consistent with it first before I decided to make any changes. Because if I do it for a week and decide that something needs to change, but I'm not doing it consistently, I don't really know the effects on that. That made sense. Sorry.
No, it totally did. I was just reading, Nicole. I
You know,
think
it's
my
true.
problem with paper is I don't want to have to print a bunch. I get it. I totally get it.
Yes. Mhm.
And in the digital system, you are just, printing everything out to GoodNotes. So that would be one of those things that would be helpful if you went that way. But I
Mhm.
mean, if you have a laptop, there's maybe a way that you could, again, pull some pieces of what makes the most sense. Or if you,
Mhm.
have a stack of order forms that you can be filling out. I mean, you don't want to make it harder, because if it's harder, you won't do it. And if you
Right.
won't do it, then you certainly won't do it consistently.
I have a stack of order forms right here just in case I get those random orders. Even still, even now that I'm digital, I still will write out a stack and then on my follow-up day, go through them and then put them to digital because I have a digital order form. But I still do a lot of pen and paper still, even though I'm digital. So
Does anybody else have any other questions? I know I think this is like normally an hour, isn't it? We just like
I
zoomed
like
around
Zoom.
through.
First of all, I'm a fast talker. I talk fast, especially when I'm nervous. It gets even worse.
I do the same thing.
So I start to
Totally fine.
rattle off. I love all you pen and paper people. Like I was hesitant to go to digital. I love pen and paper. I have a pen obsession. Look at these pens. Um, so really it's like just do what works for you. And the same thing with like Happy Meal. That I feel like with my new team members, like they hear Happy Meal and they get super stressed out about that. They're like, well, I can't afford to send scent circles in everybody's order every month or even samples. Like seriously, they just love to get mail. Like that's it. Like just getting a card that says thank you. I mean, I think we've lost a lot of that being more digital. Um, so just send them something.
Megan assured us that it's normally only 30 minutes.
Okay.
We did it.
Do I make notes on my order forms I have printed? It depends. So I do have notes for like this one. I didn't like write out anything big or crazy, but this is a club order so that I know that if I see her name come up any other way and it says PWS, well, that's separate. Like that's not just her club processing. And it helps me kind of keep an eye on my clubbers too, to see like, oh, normally Courtney has a monthly club and I see she skipped it, or maybe she canceled it altogether. And it gives me a reason to like, be like, hey, or maybe the club is all of a sudden it's jumped in dollar amount. I've had that happen, where a clubber has gone from like a $60 club to like a $300 club. And I've been like, whoa. So I do make notes that way. I do know which ones are hosts because I want to follow up just the same. Just because they've hosted a party doesn't mean that the follow-up should be any different, to me at least. I still want to follow up monthly, like, hey, did you get your big host order? Especially because those come to me. I'm a little bit weird about that. All my parties come to me first for my hosts, and then I package them pretty, and I want it to be like Christmas. So in that sense, yes, I do a little bit differently with that.
And the other thing, and you can tell me, correct me if I'm wrong, is when you were talking, this just kind of prompted in my brain. One of the biggest questions that somebody, when we were talking, had was what happens if someone orders from you multiple times in a month? So if they order from you in the beginning of the month and then all of a sudden, they have another order come through at the end of the month, you're not tracking, you're not going to connect with them like weeks apart. You're just going to pick the most recent order.
Yep.
And
So
you'll follow up all together.
Yep. So what I do is I will, and now this is where the spreadsheet kind of became a little bit more for me, better for me, is that I started tracking them that way so I wouldn't have duplicates in my binder. But if I've actually had a customer order like within 3 days of each other, and I just go in, keep the most recent order and pull the rest, and then they go in my 2023 orders folder that I have from all the orders for the year. So anything duplicate, like if I know that I've got a Debbie who's ordered like 6 times from me this year, but she's only got 1 printed receipt in my pile, because I don't need to follow up with her for her January order and then also her March order. Because that is, again, you feel like you're, not that I don't want to talk to my customers every day. Some of them I don't want to talk to every day. But some of them, they don't want to talk to me that much. So
yeah, and you don't want to feel like you're hounding them as if it's
right.
Like you
I
need
know I just
something
talked
else
to you
from them.
like 2 weeks ago, but you placed another order. So how are you doing? It's just
yeah,
kind of,
sure.
in that situation, I would say something like, hey, I know you got a lot of goodies last month. How is everything look? How are you what are you loving? And maybe even try and find out the reason. Like maybe they ordered a bunch of wax in the beginning of the month and then they ordered like 6 more bars and they're all different. Like, was there something wrong with the first set? Like, do you have 20 warmers at one time that you're going through that much wax? Are you gifting it? Like, I kind of want to find out. But I don't
You need to start your own business.
Like, do you need to join my team? Maybe a club? What do we need to do here?
Yeah.
So I do, but they don't want to hear from me once a week. Maybe they do. I don't know.
You can text me.
Right.
If nobody else has questions, Dawn says, love it. Thank you for this great information. Love this. Thank you. Lots of great info.
I seriously will talk about my follow-up system and my calendar system until you guys cut me off. So once the nerves go away, and like, I don't know why, but for some reason talking to people on a Zoom call is more intimidating than like sitting down and talking to a group of you like face to face. I don't know. I can wing it way better than I can plan for it. So
you did a great job. It doesn't seem like anybody else has any more questions. I don't want to keep everybody just hanging around listening to you and I catch up.
And if you want to hear more, like, because I know there are plenty of people who would love to just hear me talk about stuff or like get in my brain, like you can find me on Facebook or message me or whatever. We're all in the Bloom. I think most of us are, right? I'll talk to anybody who wants to know more information. So
awesome.
That's all.
Oh, Gwen, what's Bloom? It's a Facebook page for Hannah's team.
Oh yeah,
So
sorry, I forget
that Hannah's team. This is Karen's.
Well, sorry.
Like it's a collab group, but Well,
figured
thank you
that.
so much, Amanda, for hopping on with us and sharing all of your information about your follow-up. I'm going to turn off the recording.